Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the best damn Panthers podcast in the whole United States of America, in the whole country, no matter where you're listening, what you're doing. This is Primetime Carolina. It's been a while. Dave, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, just, chilling, enjoying this preseason football that's finally upon us after a
Some
wait so
preseason
long.
action. I know, man. It's been a long time coming. I just want to say to all the millions of fans that we have that all this has been completely my fault. But now that football has actually started back up, and we've got the preseason coming, we got the regular season coming. We're back. We're going to be on a weekly schedule here. So thanks for sticking with us, to all the millions of loyal fans out there.
You know they've been waiting.
They've been waiting. I've been getting tons and thousands of emails to my
I gotta say, man, the fans have been putting the heat on me too.
Hey, I totally I felt it. I felt it. So that's why we're here. That's why we're here right now. We're back doing it. So obviously, preseason started this week. Today, the Panthers play the Colts in Indianapolis. We did lose the game 21-18, but there were a lot of good takeaways, a couple negatives here and there. So we're going to break it down. So, first off, your thoughts on the game, how the Panthers played. What was your overall feeling about today's game?
So my first initial thought, if I took one thing from that game, it's just how good the 2021 draft class looked. I mean, you start at the top and you go all the way down. I mean, almost every player in that big draft class made an impact in this game. And I feel like as Panthers fans, or I'm sure a lot of fans feel this way in general, every time their team drafts, they feel like we just drafted the greatest draft class of all time. And then you get into, training camp and the preseason and eventually, into these guys' careers, and you just feel like it never pans out. But so for these guys to come in for the first time, we really get to see them, and then for them to make an immediate impact, I thought that was awesome. And I feel like I don't know if I've ever seen a class come in and do what this class did in their first NFL action in front of fans.
I agree with you 100% there. I think this is probably the first time since – I won't give a specific class here because other than this one player, the class is terrible. Ever since Cam Newton's debut with the Panthers back in 2011 in the preseason against the Bengals, when he scored that touchdown, I haven't had a preseason game where I've really been hyped up by our younger guys, the guys that we drafted. McCaffrey wasn't really showing out that much in the preseason. Our previous first-round draft picks, not a ton of buzz. Derek Brown last year, as a D tackle, but let's give it up to our guy, Terrace Marshall, man, and the other guys that contributed. I mean, they came out, they made an impact immediately. Like you said, you get used to these draft classes, like, oh, this is going to be the best team ever. These guys are going to be studs, and then it never really pans out. Well, if anything was an indication of the day, we got some guys that are at least going to be on the roster and play. And
yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited. I saw a lot of good stuff today, and I can't wait to get into it. So, without further ado, I think our MVP of the game, at least for me, it was going to be Terrace Marshall. Guy was the absolute beast today. We got a couple highlights here on the screen we can take a look at. But he had 3 catches for 88 yards. He looked like he was ready to go. What were your thoughts on him?
Absolutely. I'd probably put him second. I'd go with PJ Walker probably as the MVP. But if I was going purely off of these rookies, Terrace Marshall. I mean, and we heard about it all through training camp so far, is, you can tell he's going to be something special. And I thought in this game you could tell that too. I mean, he just looked like he was head and shoulders above all the other players on the field.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't know how much he was going to play, but I think he played the whole first half. And, he had a couple good grabs. And then obviously he had that one longer catch. It was probably for about 20, 30 yards or so that he made to extend the play. And, shout out to PJ Walker. I think he definitely is the number 2 quarterback. Last year when he played in the couple games that he was in, I thought he played pretty decently. I mean, the guy's not a starter, but that's okay. He can run with the ball. He's got a little bit of a cannon. he's not super accurate, but again, he can make some plays. And I'm completely fine with him going into the season as the number 2 guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And I think, even last year, even though it wasn't always the prettiest, I guess specifically in that last game against the Saints, it wasn't the prettiest. Against the Lions, we won 20-0 and he had a great game, other than a couple mistakes. But I think, he has the experience. He's shown he can make plays. And I mean, when you're talking about number 2 quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, you can't really ask for much more than a guy who can come in and make enough plays to win you the game. And that's exactly what he is.
Exactly. And, I don't even know who the best backup in the league might be right now. I don't know. Maybe Jameis Winston. I don't know if he's even starting. But, you just need a guy that can come in there, can be effective, and can try to make plays. And that's what he did. And I'm completely fine with that. I saw a couple people online, and they were, he's under 50% completion percentage. I don't know, man. I don't buy into that. I think he did a pretty good job.
Well,
much better than Will Grier.
Yeah. Will Grier was – I said this on the Twitter page earlier. At some point, Will Grier's got to pan out because there were a lot of people, including myself, who really want us to go with, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, believes his name, for the Saints, their defensive back, who's been a good player since he came into the league, in the same draft class as Will Grier. We had the opportunity to take him, and we took Will Grier instead. So to know that there was a starting quality defensive back, a position that we've been very weak at the last few years, and we went with Will Grier, who just hasn't been good enough, even to be a backup in this league so far. It's a pretty tough pill to swallow,
Yeah, it's I remember the class he came out in. I know people were concerned because Cam Newton's injuries were starting to build up, and they were like, "Hey, we need to have a guy as a backup, could potentially be a starter." I mean, in college, he was a bit of a gunslinger. I had high hopes for him. At the time, I liked the pick just because I knew of Cam's history. I didn't know how well he was going to do. I certainly didn't think he would be the new franchise quarterback, but you never know. But unfortunately, it hasn't turned out that way. The couple times I've seen him play, it's just been kind of lackluster, and it sucks. But I don't know if he's going to be on the team this year. Personally, I think you're going to go in with 3 quarterbacks. He might be the 3rd string quarterback just because, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think it was evident even just in this game that roster spots are going to be hard to come by for some guys. It seems like there's a lot of quality depth on this team, a lot of guys who can come in and contribute and, make plays. So there's not really room to keep extra guys who aren't going to make a difference on the team. We look at a guy like Kenny Robinson today, who had a great game, got an interception, got a nice assist on a sack when he pushed Luvu right into the quarterback. I thought that was awesome. That was my favorite play of the game. But you see a guy like that who's probably, at least 3rd or 4th on the depth chart at safety, and he came in and he showed he can make plays. And he made a big hit on special teams too. So, I think of guys like that, and every guy in this game was 2nd or 3rd string at least. And there were plenty of guys who were showing that they can make plays if they're on the field and that they can make an impact on the team. So when you have a whole roster full of guys like that, it's hard to justify keeping a 3rd quarterback.
I agree. And, you can always make moves and cut a guy if, let's say, Sam Darnold gets hurt. P.J. Walker's your only guy. You can bring someone in. So it's not the end of the world. But, yeah, I think this is the first time in preseason where I really was I only planned to watch the first half, but I ended up watching the whole game. And it's just so – we talked earlier on the podcast. It's so interesting to see these guys that, we just have depth, and we have guys of character and guys that want to go out there and want to play. And then, it's just fun to see the roster that this team's building. Even I'm entertained in the 3rd and 4th quarter when the 3rd string, 4th string guys are playing. Like you said about Robinson had the pick, a great player. You look at guys like him, you look at guys like Sam Franklin, you look at guys like Christian Miller, you look at guys like Luvu, who I didn't even know who he was until this game. He was an absolute beast. It's cool to see these guys come in there and make an impact. And, granted, will they do anything during the season? Probably not, but it's still good depth, and I like it.
Yeah, just to see guys who can come in and make an impact is all you can hope for here in the preseason. You want to check out some of these highlights?
Let's see it. Roll the film.
All right.
Wow, what a dime.
I thought Stanley Thomas Oliver had a pretty good game too. I think he's really
No,
developing to a pretty decent player.
he did. No, he did. He did have a pretty decent game. There's a lot of corners and secondary guys I've been keeping my eye on. It was really cool to Marquis Haynes has always been a guy that's been a good rotational guy. He came in with a strip sack, recovered it. That was a great play.
Yeah.
This 34 guy, what's his last? I can't remember. What's his name again?
Oh, it's slipping me right now. I want to say it's like Landon.
I've got it.
Hit that Google search. Yeah, man. They said he's had a good camp too, and he flashed in this game too. And like I was saying, that's another guy at safety. I mean, whenever the draft happened and we didn't pick a safety, and then whenever we worked out Clinton Dix and we didn't sign him, people were just like, "What are we doing? Not bringing in a safety?" But then you get these guys on the field and you see, all right, there's a few safeties who could possibly come in and contribute, and that's with Justin Burris not even playing. So you assume he's got the starting spot on lock.
Yeah. And to give props, his name is Sean Chandler. So he came in. Yeah, he's been making some good plays. Yeah, I was very impressed by him, and yeah, like you were saying about the safety position, lack of depth, things like that. They've got guys that they think that they can work with. Now, as we're watching some of these highlights here to kind of go along with the players that we're watching, how about our man Tommy Trimble?
Oh, yeah.
Touchdown today, had a couple grabs for about 20 yards, I think, and he had the touchdown in the end zone. I've always heard that this guy was more of a blocking tight end, and here he is out here, guys catching everything, making plays. I loved it. I was ecstatic.
Right, yeah. I was too, and I thought what was funny about his touchdown is he kind of stole his touchdown, but then at the same time, once I went back and looked at it, I think it was Omar Bayless was the wide receiver behind him. Omar Bayless had stepped out of bounds, so it would have been a penalty if he didn't come in and snag it.
Correct. So, I thought he did an awesome job. I think he's going to be one of those guys that, I would love for him to come in as quickly as possible and make an impact. Dan Arnold's going to be our starting tight end. Ian Thomas didn't play today. I guess they consider him the number 2. But, it's Trimble comes in and plays like this and gets a couple reps. It won't be long before he's the starter making plays personally. That's what I think.
Yeah, and with Tremble, I mean, he's also kind of a fullback, H-back type too, so you can get him in the game in, a lot of different ways and make something happen. Now,
absolutely.
Here's something we need to discuss. Joey Sly is a liability at kicker.
I agree 100%. I don't know why he's still on the roster. Listen, it's cool that you can have a guy that can kick the ball 65 yards and almost make it, but you need a guy that can just come in and make your 30, 40 yarders, because how often are you kicking 60-yard field goals?
Right.
Once or twice a year, maybe?
Well, that was my thought during the game. Another great play by safety. That was my thought during the game is, every 6 to 8 weeks you might need to hit a 60-yard field goal. But then at the same time, you have a guy who literally comes in and makes like 6 out of 10 extra points, 7 out of 10 extra points. And it's not worth it, It's going to cost you games if you keep that kicker on the roster.
I agree, and I think that – and they just signed him to an extension, I think it was this season or right before the season ended. I can't remember. I think it was a Hurney move, and, well, that's why. And even one of the kicks he made, I don't even know if it should have counted. I know it went right over the top of the – I was iffy on it. I wasn't sure. I mean, they gave it to him, but
yeah, I thought he missed it. And they gave it to him. So I mean, I 100% think the Panthers need to bring in a kicker to compete at least for the rest of the preseason or whatever. Or I don't know. At this point, it might be too late, and you might just have to wait to the end of the preseason. I was watching the Ravens game, and they had Jake Verity, who used to be East Carolina's kicker.
Okay.
And I'm a little biased towards the East Carolina guys, as you know. But He was a good kicker in college. He came in for the Ravens and he hit a 40 something and like a 53 yarder. And obviously that job is going to belong to Jake Tucker. So
No,
Jake
yeah.
Tucker. His first name is Jake, right?
I believe so.
Jake Tucker. For some reason that doesn't sound right. Anyway, obviously that's Tucker's job and they're going to be releasing him. So
Wait, is Tom Tucker's son from Family Guy?
yeah, that's him.
I knew it.
Let me go back here because I wanted to comment on a couple of these plays. First of all, that Chuba Hubbard run was awesome because you thought he got stuffed, right?
Exactly. And
then go ahead.
And to add more to him, Hubbard, he had a very good game. He had that one big run. I will say this, though. He did drop a couple passes, but at the same time, P.J. Walker did throw a couple that were kind of low. So I'm not going to completely blame him, but he looked very good for your – I mean, listen, you got Christian McCaffrey. He's the best running back in the league. You don't got to do much when you're the number 2 running back. So if he can just come in and make a couple runs and just give the guy a breather, I'm cool with it. Now, if we can have a guy that can come in and, completely change the game as your number 2 running back, yeah, it's lethal. So I loved it.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing that's kind of deflating about it is you figure when a backup running back's going to come in, you try to sneak him out the backside on like a backdoor screen, and that's the exact ball that he dropped today. So, I mean, obviously, it's just one game's first preseason game or whatever, but moving forward, those are plays he's going to have to not leave on the field because that play could have been a touchdown. It was wide open.
I agree.
And then also – sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was going to say that Shi Smith grab, first of all, it was a great throw by P.J. Walker, but that was an awesome catch by Shi Smith. Also, he was definitely out of bounds, and it would have been incomplete if they reviewed it.
I was shocked they gave him the catch because, I didn't know he was out of bounds, but I thought that
he bobbled it once he was out of bounds.
That's what I thought. And when you watch the camera, I could kind of see if it was a regular season game, I don't think they would have given it to him.
Yeah.
But I think they said, you know what, we don't have time to waste here. Just give him the catch. But still, it was good to see him in there. And this play right here, Chuba Hubbard, I don't know what he was thinking. He tried to jump that guy and he got slammed at the ground.
It almost looked like he was expecting the defender to go low, and then he didn't.
I know. So that was interesting. And then we got Sly's long kick here. That is – did he make that one? I can't remember.
He didn't make that one. That was the one that was like 63 or whatever. And I was wondering if at this point, he's already missed an extra point, and now you're just kicking meaningless long field goals. I almost wonder if that deflates him a little bit and, hurts his confidence and makes him an even worse kicker moving forward.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, he was very inconsistent last year, too, and missed a lot of kicks. So you don't know if he maybe – I haven't heard anything about him in training camp. I mean, you don't hear much about kickers, but might have kind of dragged in this season. I don't know. So I agree with you. I think they should probably bring someone in. And this is a random point here, but since we're looking at the highlights, these jerseys that we have, the blue ones look so amazing. I don't know why we don't flip-flop and make these our new, mandatory uniforms. Get rid of do the black on black as the alternates and do the blue as our home and then the white as our away. I don't know. I think that looks good.
Yeah, it does. But it almost feels like that would be like wasting the black uniforms because the black on black is just so clean. But yeah, these are probably my second favorite.
I like these clean. I like them with the black pants too, but I like them with the white.
Yeah, and I really like them with the black pants. But the white, I don't know. The white just makes it pop a little bit.
It does.
Kind of feels like we look like the Dolphins, though.
Yeah, we've got a little Chargers Dolphins-esque look to it. I dig it. And then, so looking at some more of the plays here, the only thing that I would say was, I could be wrong here, but I think we're going to go the route where they're going to move Moten to the left and they're going to play Christensen at the right. Because they did an interview with Moten and they talked a little bit about that. And Christensen, he had a pretty solid game. He gave up a couple, but he also held his own. I mean, he's a rookie coming in there. He's been playing a little bit of guard too. So I think that's the route you have to go. Because if we go the route we have now, I don't even know who the left tackle is going to be. Maybe Cam Irving. But I like my chances of playing a really good right tackle at left tackle and seeing what happens.
Yeah. I'm not convinced they're going to do it. I'm with you. I think they should do it. I know they've been practicing, like you said, with Moton at left tackle some. And I agree. Christensen had a good game at I think he actually played a little bit of both, but specifically at right tackle, he had a pretty good game. I think he might have had a false start, and I saw one rep, he got beat a little bit. But I mean, overall for his first game, I thought he had a really good game too. Just another rookie who came in and was making plays. So I was real happy with that. Speaking of rookies making plays, long snapper, 6th round pick, long snapper, Thomas Fletcher recovering the fumble.
Love it. Never seen J.J. Jansen do that.
Yeah, I swear. J.J. Jansen's got to be sweating.
He probably is a little
Honestly,
bit.
He's probably in trouble because that's a good – I mean, he did, just the fact that he recovered that ball meant he was able to get down there. And how often is J.J. Jansen down there?
Exactly. I don't know. So, the rookies look good. I've seen a lot of good stuff. I like some things on defense. I like some things on offense. Now let's talk a little about some of the negatives that we saw. This isn't necessarily a player thing. This is more of a personnel deal. Man, the red zone, we were terrible. We should have probably won this game by 3 or 4 touchdowns by the amount of times we were in the red zone. And it was not good. And last year it wasn't good either. I get the starters aren't playing, so you don't got your playmakers in. So I'm not going to be too critical, but got to convert in the red zone this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, like you said, it was like that last year. I think this is something that people, I don't think, are really critical enough of Joe Brady of how bad we are in the red zone. Between the 20s, we're unstoppable, and then we get inside the red zone, and it's like, we just have a really tough time. I think, Christian McCaffrey being back will make a big difference with that because, he's the ultimate weapon, and he can run in between the tackles and everything. I think Trimble will give us some good options. I think Marshall will be a good red zone threat as well, on corner fades and stuff. But, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's just it hasn't been good enough.
Yeah, it's been tough. And I think right there, yep, so number 42 there for the Colts, quick shout-out. Benny LeMay, actually UNC Charlotte grad such as myself. He played on the football team whenever I was in school, so cool to see him in there getting drafted and playing. And then, speaking of the red zone, we're going to have guys, we've got McCaffrey back. We've got a tight end in Arnold. We've got Trimble. You got Terrace Marshall. I mean, you got guys, but a lot of times in the red zone, you got to get creative. It's a little bit more play calling than, personnel and playmaking ability. So we got to get creative. I think tight ends are crucial in the red zone, and hopefully we're a lot better at that this year. That's where you miss a guy like Cam Newton who can run the ball in the end zone. But we got to do what we got to do. We just have to improve on that. And my second takeaway is penalties. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Unexcusable amount of penalties. I heard Rule was pissed. I know he was chewing a lot of guys out, but the O-line, man, like on this drive here,
I was going to say, I think this is the moment in the game where we got 3 in a row.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. I mean, I know it's your third, 4th string unit in there, but communication is key and, unacceptable.
Yeah. I mean, it almost makes you wonder, like, was this like I guess it's just everybody involved. It's not, I guess it's the quarterback, center, offensive line. It had to be some combination of all 3 messing up for it to be as bad as it was. It couldn't have just been one group or one position that was, messing up that bad.
Yeah. And we also had a lot of linemen jumping off sides, neutral zone infractions. I don't know. That's stuff that we got to clean up. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. And I know I'm just a fan. It doesn't matter. But for me, it's just like the small penalties, things like it's 3rd and 5, you jump off sides, 1st down. I can't stand it.
What's funny is one of the whole like headlines of training camp is that they had the sign DBO, don't beat ourselves. And every time someone jumps, they have to go run and touch the sign and then run back to the field. And it's like, dang, man, that sign ain't working. Y'all better get one of those put up at the stadium real soon because you're going to be needing
Listen, I don't know if they're practicing tomorrow, but the next time they do, they're going to be running. That's funny. I didn't really know that pro teams still make guys run, but it's happened a lot in training camps this year from what I've read.
I feel like I've never seen it until this year's training camp, and now I see it from like 5 different teams.
Yeah.
So it's weird because, you know, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I thought they stopped doing that in like high school.
I kind of like it though. It's like, you know, it means it's a little accountability. I mean, I'm sure if they're doing something, they, you know, coaches have always come up with something for, you know, doing something bad on the field, penalties, this and that. But old school sprinters, get on the line, we're going to run. That's going to make you not want to commit any penalties.
Hey, man.
Whatever
works. Because, I mean, those penalties we saw today were pretty crazy, pretty unacceptable.
So, you know, majority a lot of good. You know, I'm not going to be too harsh about us losing the game. You know, people were kind of getting on Matt Rule like, oh, the Panthers played not to lose, this and that. At the same time, you know, you got – I think the biggest difference – I want to touch on the Colts here for a bit. Both their quarterbacks, you know, I'm not sure when Wentz is going to be back. You know, Sam Ehlinger, however you say his last name, he played pretty good, man. I mean, I like what I saw from him. And then whoever number 9 is, I can't remember his name. I know he played for Georgia.
Jacob Eason.
He played pretty good. So their backups played pretty good. I mean, they got some good playmakers. So I think it just came down to that Sam Ehlinger was just a little bit or a lot better than Will Grier, and he was able to make more plays in the fourth quarter than he was. And I think that our failure to convert in the red zone obviously hurt us. It's a preseason; it's not a big deal, but you know, it's a morale thing. And I think, you know, if we can be consistent even in things that don't count in a record, you know, that goes a long way further down the season.
Yeah, absolutely. You never want to step on the field and lose, you know, whether it's Super Bowl, regular season, preseason, or scrimmage. You never want to walk out there and lose. I mean, you know, so it never feels good to lose, even if it means nothing. But to your point, you know, Sam Ehlinger, when he was at Texas, and obviously still now, he's a playmaker with his feet. And I think, you know, the end of a preseason game against third and fourth string players with very vanilla defenses, that's a very good time to take advantage of a player who's good on their feet. You know, like Joe Webb used to be unstoppable for the Panthers in the preseason. It's definitely a time to shine for quarterbacks who can scramble a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Shout out to Joe Webb, whatever he's doing. You know,
shout out to Joe Webb. Oh, and you know what else? Prayers up for Troy Pride.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. So it looked like he hurt himself on a play, and then the very next play, he hurt himself worse. And then I was kind of – because I saw he was kind of getting limped off the field, and I really wasn't paying too much attention. And then I look, and he's, like, on the sideline, like, kind of looking up, like, what's going on? I don't know what the status of the injury was, but, yeah, that was tough to see.
It was almost like a knee, but then, like, I don't know if he hit his head and got a concussion or he, like, blacked out. It reminded me a lot of when Luke Kuechly got that concussion against the Saints on Thursday night, and it was like he didn't know where he was.
Yeah. That was
it was weird.
Scary. No, I agree. Those are it was scary. Hopefully he's okay, because I think he's you know, he was getting picked on a little bit today, but he also made some good plays. He's going to be someone that's going to add some depth to the team. So you know, hopefully he gets better. But, you know, overall, my thoughts on today were I like it. You know, the team didn't come out and they weren't lethargic, like they didn't care. Yes, they made mistakes. Yes, it's the first preseason game. They're going to clean a lot of stuff up. But from a first preseason game standpoint, the rookies played well. Some guys that are trying to make the roster played well. They just come out. They looked inspired, like they wanted to be there and they wanted to play. So, you know, I was pleased.
Yep, no doubt. I'd probably give it overall about a B-. I'd give the 2021 draft class an A. I'd give everybody else a C+. We'll equal it out to a B-.
So yeah, I'm excited. We got the Ravens next Friday at home. I wish I could go there. My buddy's a big Ravens fan, but I'm going to the home opener. Well, you're going to the home opener too, right? You got tickets with your buddy,
Yep.
right?
I'll be there.
Okay. So we'll be there. We're going to have a massive primetime Carolina tailgate. All of our thousands of fans are going to be there. It's
All
going
of
to
our
be
fans
awesome.
better show up.
And now this is a good point to bring this up because we've talked about it every show. The single numbers. We finally saw them in action
It's a good way
on
to
the
close.
field today. What were your thoughts?
You know what, Tater? I thought by now, after getting through training camp and into the preseason, that I would have acclimated to it. I still haven't, especially on defense. Man, it was bad on offense for some of those wide receivers and those running backs. But when I looked over and saw like a defensive back wearing number 10, shout out, I don't even remember who number 10 is, but I was like, nah, that's not going to fly. That's bad. And
It was
it has not grown on me.
I will say this, it's not as bad as I originally thought. I'm still not really a fan. It was weird seeing like corners and receivers wearing like number 9 and like number 7.
Yeah.
And
But you know what? Honestly, that was easier for me than linebackers wearing numbers in the 30s.
Yes, that's a bit weird. I will say for the most part on our team, most guys that we have that are, high profile have pretty much stuck with the regular numbers. I think DJ Moore was really
stuck with tradition, yeah.
He was the only guy that picked, a single digit. And, Terrace Marshall picked number 88. So he picked a number in the 80s.
DJ Moore will be in 2, though, so that's one that we didn't see today.
Correct.
But he's going to look good in that, too. I think
he will.
But, yeah, Terrace Marshall, he's rising up my favorite players list real quick, and 88 has a lot to do with it. He knows how to pick a wide receiver number.
You pick a number in the 80s as a receiver, you've already automatically got my respect. So,
no doubt, 100%.
I'm closing things up here. Thank you guys for tuning back in. We're really going to be on this thing now that the season's getting started. But yeah, overall, I thought today was it was fun. It was good to see you guys back on the field. Glad to see fans back there. And I saw a lot of good, more good than bad in my opinion. And the rookie class really shined. And let's hope we can keep it going next week.
Yeah, man, that was fun. I agree. It's good. It's always good to see the team back out there. I think if PJ Walker was out there the whole game, we win by 10 points. So, shout out to Will Greer, doing your thing. Never stop doing your thing. Never stop being you. Coming in and blowing some preseason games for us. You do your thing, baby.
Well, Will Greer is going to come out next week and ball. But looking forward to next week for the Ravens. This is kind of the game where the starters will play the most, I imagine. I don't know how long they'll play. Maybe the first quarter, maybe a couple series, and then they'll be out. I look forward to it.
I think from what I understand, the second game will kind of be the same, where they'll play like a few drives, and that third game will be the dress rehearsal game still.
Okay.
From what I understand, I could be wrong, but it sounds like that's how they're going to do it.
Which I could see that because, hey, the next week you're starting live action. So let's go ahead and, get you tuned up a little bit. You wouldn't want to get them tuned up and then have them sit for another week and then have to, I don't know. I agree. It just means that this game and then next week's game is going to be tough for the guys that are trying to make the roster because there's not that extra game.
Yeah. Well, that was part of the reason I think the starter sat today is because they usually don't have to cut till after the second game. And I think now they have to cut after the first game.
So, yeah, I'm sure they'll I think if that's true, I'm sure we'll see some cuts tomorrow. But we'll see. There's a lot of good today. So, but wrapping things up, it was good. I'm glad to be back. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Looking ready, fired up for week 1. And Terrace Marshall, man, my MVP for today in the rookie class. Did a great job.
Yep, no doubt. Shout out Terrace Marshall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Y'all have a good night, I guess.
Cool deal. We will see you guys next week. This is kind of be our formula going forward. On Sundays after the game, we'll come right on. We'll do the show. We'll post some stuff probably that night or probably the next morning. But yeah, this is how we're going to do it. And then maybe we'll do a little episode here and there in between the week to kind of keep things going. So thank you guys so much. We will see you next week. Go Panthers. Primetime Carolina.